A designer sent a client's unreleased app mockup through a text-to-design tool, and 3 days later, a stranger found the exact same design sitting in that tool's public gallery, searchable by anyone. That's not a hacking story. That's what happens when you don't check one specific setting before designing anything confidential. And it's a mistake genuinely easy to make because almost nothing about the interface warns you. This video is specifically about design tools, not website builders, meaning tools that generate the visual layout, the mockup, the Figma file, without necessarily writing a single line of live hosted code, because that's a completely different job with a completely different set of tools built for it. I only share methods I test myself, so every comparison and every warning here came from actually running real prompts through these tools myself. Quick ask before we start. Like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps. Let's separate this clearly from anything you've seen about website builders, because mixing these two categories up wastes real time. A website builder takes a prompt and gives you a live, published, hosted website, ready for visitors immediately. A design tool takes a prompt and gives you a visual file, a mockup, editable layers, something a designer or developer still has to build or hand off, not something the public can visit yet. If you're a solo founder who just wants a site online today, you want a builder, and design tools will genuinely slow you down. But if you're a designer, an agency, or anyone handing polished visuals to a developer separately, this category is where the real leverage is, and it's worth understanding the differences between the main options. Let's start with the tool most design teams are already inside of. One major player brings AI features directly into the design tool the industry already standardizes around, adding automated layer naming, auto layout suggestions, and AI-generated placeholder assets right inside your existing files. The advantage here isn't raw generation power, it's zero friction, because your team is already working inside that environment, and these AI features simply remove repetitive manual work without forcing anyone to learn a new tool or export anything anywhere. The trade-off is that its generative capability is genuinely more limited than dedicated text-to-design competitors. It's an accelerant for an existing workflow, not a from-scratch design generator. Now let's cover the tools built specifically to generate full interfaces from a written description, because this is where the real type-a-sentence, get-a-design experience actually lives. One category leader takes a plain description, something like a mobile banking app home screen with account balance and recent transactions, and returns a complete, polished, high-fidelity screen, not a rough sketch. What makes that particular tool stand out is the export quality. The generated screens import into your design software as editable layers with proper auto layout structure, meaning a designer can actually keep working on top of the output instead of treating it as a static image to trace over. It also handles multi-screen flows, generating an entire onboarding sequence or checkout process as a connected set instead of one isolated screen at a time, which saves real hours compared to prompting each screen separately and manually connecting them yourself. For pure speed instead of polish, a different tool focuses specifically on turning rough sketches or screenshots into structured wireframes almost instantly, which makes it the better choice for early brainstorming sessions or stakeholder workshops, where getting an idea visualized fast matters more than final visual quality. For teams without dedicated designers, product managers, or founders specifically, there's a category built around approachable wireframing with a large template library, designed so someone without design training can still produce something structured and presentable. Now here's a real example that shows why picking the right tool for the right stage actually matters. I ran the identical prompt, a fitness app onboarding flow with 3 screens, through a wireframing focus tool and through a high-fidelity generation tool. The wireframing tool returns something usable in about 10 seconds, rough boxes and labels, perfect for validating the flow logic in a 5-minute team discussion before anyone commits real design time. The high-fidelity tool took longer and produced something close to a finished presentable design, complete with real typography choices and spacing, appropriate for showing an actual client or stakeholder, not just validating an internal idea. Neither output was wrong. They were built for 2 different moments in the same project. Early validation versus client-ready presentation, and using the wrong one for the wrong moment either wastes polish time too early or looks unfinished too late. Now here's the mistake that opens this entire video, and it's genuinely one of the most consequential ones in this category. Several text-to-design tools that generate high-fidelity screens make your designs publicly visible by default on their free or entry-level paid tiers, meaning anyone browsing that platform's public gallery can find and view work you assumed was private. This isn't always disclosed prominently in the interface itself. It's often buried in the pricing page, listed as a feature difference between tiers rather than flagged as a privacy warning where you'd actually notice it while designing. If you're working on anything under a client agreement, an unreleased product, or literally anything you wouldn't want a stranger finding through a public search inside that platform, check that specific tool's privacy tier before you type a single prompt, not after you've already generated the work. The fix costs nothing but 30 seconds. Search the specific tool's pricing page for the word private or public before starting any confidential project, and if a lower tier doesn't explicitly guarantee private designs, assume it doesn't and upgrade first or use a different tool entirely for that specific project. Here's the golden tip that ties this entire category together into an actual usable workflow. Match the tool to the specific stage of your project, not to whichever one you happen to already have open. Use a fast wireframing tool for early validation when you just need to test whether an idea makes sense structurally. Then move to a high-fidelity generation tool once you're ready to produce something presentable to an actual client or stakeholder. Treat these as two different tools for two different moments, not competitors where you need to pick one winner and use it for everything. Because forcing one tool to cover both stages either slows down your early brainstorming or underdelivers on your final presentation. That staged approach, rough and fast early, polished and private later, is what actually makes AI design tools speed up a real workflow, instead of just producing an impressive-looking demo you don't know what to do with next. I test new AI deals every week. If a new free method comes out, you'll see it here first. One last thing before you try any of these yourself. This entire category is evolving fast. Pricing tiers and privacy defaults change without much announcement, so a setting that was safe last month might not be the default anymore by the time you sign up. Always re-verify the current privacy terms directly on the tool's own pricing page before starting anything sensitive, regardless of what any video, including this one, told you a few months ago. In the next video, I'm taking a design generated in one of these tools all the way through actual developer handoff to show you exactly where the process breaks down and where it's genuinely smooth. Subscribing is the only way you'll see that full pipeline before you try it yourself.